Welcome back to another episode of Shapes of Resilience. This morning, I'm joined by Clinton Lewis. Clinton is all the way up in Manchester. He's the founder of Active Physiques. He's running a brilliant setup up there. He's connecting with some fantastic people, which is how I've managed to connect with him today, just through that spiral ripple effect of connecting with the right people, has then meant that we've had this organic connection where we just followed each other, seen each other's work for a bit. And I thought, I quite like the guy's message. I like what he's all about. So I invited him on the podcast. And here we are today. So thanks for joining me this morning, mate.
Nice one. Thanks for having us, Olly. I really appreciate the little introduction there.
Yeah, that's true, mate. I don't just randomly message anyone. Yeah. I like to do it in that exact way where I might put a podcast clip out and then I get a load of new followers. Yeah. And then I start, over time, that person might engage with some of my posts and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I appreciate that. So then I'll look in return and then instantly see what you're all about. And I know you've just pulled together a big event, which we'll talk about because that looks phenomenal. Some incredible speakers, people that I followed for a long time, people like Scott Thomas, Peter G. They're all like people that are smashing it. So for you to have those people in your network is like testament for what you're doing as well. So fair play to you, mate. Yeah, massive respect for that.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of them. I wanted to create an event where it's like a hybrid between motivation, education, and then we get a celebrity guest speaker in on there as well. So it's like an attraction as well, along with obviously the other guest speakers. So that was the biggest one we've ever done. There was around 120 plus people there, which was great. Like I say, we brought Scott Thomas there as well, and he smashed it. But yeah, overall, it was a good day. It was a free event as well. I'd done it for free. It wasn't free for me, a lot of money, but it is what it is. It's all, I think sometimes the biggest gift in life really is giving back. I think Tony Robbins said that as well, but it is all about giving back because then you're in a receiving mindset. If you've like and you don't like giving, I feel like you're in a negative mindset. So I found that's the way to sort of fast track you forward. Do you know what I mean?
Man, that's a great place to start. So it's very similar to how I feel with the podcast because I've made no money since I started this. And I feel it's my way of giving back, if you like, to society or to unknown people because the impact that the podcast has inevitably is hard to measure because a lot of the people that listen to the messages you might never hear from. Same, there might have been 100 people in that audience and the people that you touch the most might be people you never hear from. But I get that same feeling inside where I don't know how this is going to work out. But the thing driving it is I know that the more good I do from that place of not wanting anything back in return means that I'm more likely to actually get the things I'm actually dreaming of getting.
Of course, yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's how it all works, doesn't it? It's like, me putting a post out there, I didn't expect us to contact each other, do you know what I mean? And it's went on there and now, it led on to the podcast and this can lead to something else. It's just that domino effect of positive energy in it, really. So it's good.
Mate, I see it all the time. And the more I lean into that, the more good stuff that happens. Like I couldn't tell you, even just in this last week, just little things just fall into place. And then I see it differently now. And then I'm like, right, now really lean in. And there's something as well, which I respect about what you said earlier and what you did with your event is there would have been some pretty hefty like financial implications with that. And you clearly believe that strongly in what you're doing, that you're happy to go with that. And I think that's what holds a lot of people back is that they see money as this thing that you have to hold on to rather than seeing them as almost energy credits that I put this energy, whether it's time or money, into something I believe in, knowing that there's no instant reward for that. So yeah, how does it feel to just take those bigger risks now in those events?
It's pretty easy for me, to be honest with you. It's like I've always been a risk taker. I've always just not followed the crowd and I've just done my own thing. And I think if you want to be successful, you need to be a risk taker and you're definitely going to be the leader of the pack. You need a good team behind you to be successful. But I think if you just don't take any risks, you'll find you sort of in that scarcity mindset and you won't really move forward. You'll kind of stay in the comfort zone. And well, to be honest, anything out of the comfort zone, it's a risk in it because it's something new. So, that's the fastest way to really move forward, getting out of that comfort zone and putting them steps in place and just being certain on, like you mentioned there, be certain on the outcome. You know where you want to be. you know what you have to do. You just have to do it. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be bumps in the road, but one thing's for certain is you're going to be further ahead than you are now, just standing still and think, what if? Do you know what I mean?
You take us back to the first moment where you applied that mindset, where you first started training that growth mindset, where you'd been sat on it for a bit and you're like, no, I've got to go with this now. Take us back to that moment.
I coach people online. So I coach people all over the world, from Australia, America, Dubai, most of England. I have worked in gyms before when I first started off, along with the online as well. But the first time I would say is when I took the risk was when I quit my first job. So I went through the comfort zone when I left school. So I wanted to be a PT, and then I went to a college near me called Hotwood Hall College. And they took us through like the layout of the day, a couple of tests, like it was press up, sit ups, and then running. And I was pretty crap at the running because I never really used to do cardio then. I was more like wanting to get big, dirty bulk and all that. So we smashed everyone on the press ups, beat everyone on the sit ups. So I'd done okay on the run, but I didn't quite get there. But I still passed and still got into the thing. And then we was doing it. We had like, it was in a classroom. And then the teacher was telling us through a layout of the day. And I was really excited because I thought, I get to go gym, I get to train people, you know, I get to do all this and learn how to be a coach, which I wanted to do from school. And then he was just going on about the day, and it was all running, no weights. And I said, if we're doing that much running, don't you think we're going to burn muscle away? And then he said, you don't burn muscle away from loads of cardio. And I thought, you do. But because I was only 16, you know, and I was only studying for about a year, I started training at 15, I was only about 16. I thought, he knows more than me, he's the teacher. But I had this thing in my mind thinking, no, it does burn muscle away if you're doing loads of cardio. You know, that's why Mo Farah looks like he does. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got Usain Bolt who's doing more weights and, you know, shorter distance. But then I was still questioning myself. And then come out of the classroom, I thought, I don't really think it's good here. I just seen some big teacher on the corridor and he's like pumped up and all that, like definitely went gym all the time. I said, does loads of cardio burn muscle away? He said, I don't know. I thought, I'm not coming here. Do you know what I mean? Well, you don't even know what I'm on about in the place. I thought I know more than him. So obviously I probably didn't know more than him, but I knew more about that subject anyway, that's for sure. So it just put me off. And then my mum basically, I took the easy route then. So my mum said, obviously, this is one of the driving forces of where I am today, to be honest, but she just wanted to protect me. But she said, there's no money in PTing. You don't do that. There's no money in PTing. Just get a proper job. So I went to build coaches and ambulances. And that's where I was for 5 years. It was like a prison sentence. I hated it every single day, but I was still positive because, you know, I knew it wasn't the end. I knew I was born to do something more. And then I left that. And this was the biggest risk at the time, what I'd done. I basically took a loan out the bank for like £4,000, went to Ibiza for 3 weeks with my friend on holiday. We had an amazing time. You know, you can imagine what I was up to. But then when I come back to work, I felt down, and obviously you get the holiday blues, don't you? But this was like holiday blues times 10 for like a month. So I thought, nah, it just doesn't feel right. I'm not meant to work here anymore. So then I decided I was going to hand my notice in and start working abroad in the summer. And then I just started doing seasons then. And then that was the first sort of time I was just left to my own devices, no mum and dad, no one to look after me, just on my own 2 feet sort of thing. And then, yeah, it was a struggle, but we had good times. And then obviously I come back and started what I'm doing now.
Nice. Mate, it's always those moments where you look back and think, you sometimes forget to look back and realize how far you've come. But then if you rewind to that moment and then you look at everything you did to then get to where you were pulling that event together. And now I know I looked on your social media earlier and like the growth is clear and you're smashing it. And I love your podcast as well, mate. I listened to that episode with the two lads that you've obviously had a big impact on.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was class, mate. It's clear they respect and admire like what you've done for them as well. So how does that make you feel being able to now give back to like the younger generations?
Unreal, to be honest. I've always been a giver. I think I get it from my mum, to be honest. Like, I know she said that when I left school about there's no money in PT, but she just wanted to protect me because she doesn't know any PTs who are successful. So she wanted to keep me in the comfort zone of let's get a normal job because that's what she's been taught. which I know now. But when she first told me, I thought, I'm going to show you, because I get like driven by negative comments, really. But going back to that, she's kind, my mum, and she's always a giver, and she always puts people before herself, which I don't really believe in. I think you should be number one. But I get the kindness from her, definitely. And, I always like to help people out. And, that it's just it's a natural thing. And I feel like that's why I'm successful with what I do, because it comes from a good place. There's a lot of online coaches out there, and there's a lot of businesses out there, and you can see who's after the money. Do you know what I mean? And, your actions, when you're after the money, your actions are in a different way. You get different responses, and you go down different routes and stuff, and you handle stuff in a different way as well. So I think when you're coming from a clean place, it's always going to grow fast.
I think as well with that is you see certain coaches jump on different trends of, but if I start being authentic, or if I start being vulnerable, or I show I'm kind, then I'm going to be able to grow, and I'm going to be able to then cash in. And to me, I see it and I'm like, right, he's now going for the cash in moment. Do you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, now I'm going to forget all that now, and now I'm going to offer my coaching thing, and there's 99% off, and there's this. It's clear to me the people that are jumping on certain bandwagons of certain ways to act online. But there's a clear difference between acting to me and just being who you are.
Well, that's it. It's like, when did crying on a camera become a trend? That's insane to me. You know what I mean? It's insane. Like, you're having a tearful moment, you get your camera out and think, I'm going to video and put it online. So to get likes, it's like, it's mental.
I wish I was better in some ways at not following trends, but not just going with what I feel, and because I know that holds me back in certain ways of growing my platform, because I'm not someone to try and like bring a guest on and then use what they're saying to just grow the audience, like with the viral post. And because there's been moments in the podcast where they've said like something controversial or something that goes against the grain, and but for me, I don't want to stitch a guest up. To me, it's what's the positive message. But of course, people don't want to hear a positive message as much as they want to hear something negative, because the negative stuff, more people are inclined to resonate with that, because people like feeding their own negativity with a negative post. So for me, I don't post anything negative, really. I try not to, because I just think there's enough of that going on elsewhere. But I feel like it does hold me back as well in some ways, with being a bit more strategic and clever with the platform.
Yeah, that's it. The fastest way to grow, I would say, is just networking like we're doing now. Human interaction. That's why I know you mentioned about the events. That's why I made them, for human interaction. The second one is just be yourself. If you feel like you want to post something what's against the grain, just post it, because you're just being genuine, aren't you? And people resonate with people like a lot more than you think. So I think that's a massive benefit. And like you mentioned there, Olly, you can see the people who are lying and just like following the trends and stuff. And if all your posts are similar, in terms of your personality, then that's you, innit? So, the right people who are like you, they're going to like you.
Yeah, I feel it.
But the wrong people, we don't care about them anyway, do we? Because we're not nothing like them.
No. And it's funny, it's not until you get in the same room, or even this, it's good enough it's more than good enough to get a really good feel for somebody and their energy and their intentions behind it all. And I'm doing the podcast pretty much for exactly the same reason that you do your events, and that's just to get in the same room as people, but then also to have that deeper connection. And it's coming now in abundance. It is a ripple effect, and there's people that I see them as fishing rods. The more I can cast out, I don't know where it's going to lead me. That's the beautiful thing with what I'm doing and what you're doing. It only takes one person to be that connection that opens up a life-changing opportunity. You see what I'm saying? And because you're doing it from a place of good intention and be like as yourself, when you get that opportunity, it's the right opportunity.
It's mad. It's mad that you say that, because that's exactly what I said on the live event. I said, you're one person away from changing your life. You could meet someone in here today. You're one conversation away from moving forward, and you are, because you look at every single key moment you've had in your life, Olly, and I don't know everything about your life, but them key moments, they're around key people. or key situations where you thought, wow, this is really negative, but that's where you learn and move forward. You don't learn anything from winning, do you? You learn from the downs.
No. I don't know if you do this as well, because a lot of what we're doing relies on those connections with other people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many positive interactions I have, I'm still a little bit guilty of, if I don't get the feedback from someone, or someone might not reply to a message, or someone says no to come on a podcast, I use that is so much more significant to me, and it's something I'm working on. But it's almost like, how much evidence do I need that I'm doing well to take that one negative and hold on to that as, I was right all along. I'm not someone that people want to interact with, and I take it to heart really personally when I get that bit of rejection. Is that something that you suffer with yourself or not?
Not really, because anything what you suffer with right now will be just down to your limiting beliefs. So that can be around like your upbringing, people around, or different situations, what you've been in. It might be recent. So things will trigger you more. What are your limiting beliefs? Like, mine's basically, just trying to think what mine will be really. I'm quite reactive sometimes, but I would say probably the fear of failure. But that's actually the thing what's molded me and shaped me moving forward, because I'm not scared to fail and be average. I'm just doing the opposite. Do you know what I mean? And that's what leans you into the risks faster. So one of them, I think that's one of mine, the fear of failure. But I'll probably have other things what I need to work on for sure. We're all working forward, aren't we, moving forward, and that's how you grow.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I would agree with you actually. And I think, going back to my limiting beliefs, it definitely is that fear of not being enough and abandonment and all those real obvious ones. But it's so true when you look back at your life. Yeah, you're right. And it's something I'm getting so much better at. And the funny thing secondary to that is, sometimes I take that rejection and I'll dwell on it, and I know in my heart, and I know, oh, but they're probably just going to message me next week. And then they do. And you're like, why have I just wasted that week being sad or angry or hurt? And then it wasn't even the case anyway. So that's something I'm getting so much better at.
I don't know what happened there. That was mad.
Hello, mate.
What?
It's all good.
Can you hear us? Yeah.
I can hear you now, mate. Yeah. Did I drop out, or did it?
Yeah, it's like my laptop just fully shut down. It was really weird, but I can't remember what I got to it.
No, have you got it on charge? Because it drains it. That's all. It's I should have said.
It's fully charged. Fully charged.
Yeah, cool. Just give it a second, mate. It's
loading up.
Just loading. Yeah. Where were we? What were we saying? It was about limiting beliefs, wasn't it? And people sometimes, I think it was, you're probably saying something like, when people are just busy with life, that it's nothing personal when you don't get a response.
You said about the so when you were saying about the no response and that you're overthinking and stuff.
Yeah.
it's one of them. Everything's it's a present. It's a past moment, really. Every single moment's a past moment. So if you think of it like that, instead of focusing on the present, what's happening right now? Because if you message someone and you don't get a reply, it's in the past. So you're choosing to follow the past. So you're recycling old thoughts, really.
Yeah, it's like desperation. It's almost like the way to navigate that, which I do, is send the message, move on, send the message, move on. And then when the message comes back, there's been no time wasted hoping and checking, and we're all guilty of it. I think whenever we're trying to build something, and that's the balance between being grateful for where you are and getting too desperate to where you want to get to. But I think what comes with that is when the desperation creeps in, you actually create the vibration and the energy around you to mean that you're not actually the person that will get to where you want to get to. It's like create the person that is already there, and then you'll close the gap. It's like a magnet that we then attract what we're hoping for by acting in the way the person would act.
Yeah, 100%. It's one of them. It's like if you're acting out of desperation, then really you're scared to fail. Yeah. Because you wouldn't be desperate to be successful. You'll know you're going to be successful, so your actions are going to be different moving towards it. You know, if you're like worried about someone not messaging back, then you're sort of attracting it into what's going to happen in the outcome. So if you're certain that something's going to happen, then it's going to be a totally different mindset in it. If you're certain that you're going to achieve something, like if you put the lottery ticket on, or you're certain to get some milk from the shops this morning, you're not feeling negative about going to get the milk because you're going to get it. But if you're typing to someone in worry or fear, then you're in a negative state, aren't you? So it's always going to flip the situation round. But then when you put in your mind, it's certain that they're going to message you the next week, you said to yourself, that's going to happen. So that's why it always happens.
Mate, this is cool. I'm just visualizing us both in a previous lifetime a few years ago, to be fair, just thinking that life was all about pumping weights and getting big. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't have been capable of having this level of conversation with someone in that old version of myself.
Yeah.
It's crazy how we evolve as men and what we think is the answer when we're younger, and just drinking protein and lifting weights. And how have you seen the fitness industry evolve, especially when it comes to men? And I know the work you're involved with now being less just about how we look and the physical, and more about the mental resilience, mental strength, mental clarity.
Well, every single person who comes onto my team, they always educate a lot on mindset, because your mindset controls your life. And really what I teach anything is, it's not just about to transform your body, but it's how to transform your relationships, your job title, if you want to better that, how much money you earn. And it's a whole in one service, really, to be honest. And I changed my life dramatically last year. I quadrupled my income in 5 months, down to focusing a lot on myself. So when all the results work, and basically I read How to Think and Grow Rich, and it completely changed my mind. And it's called How to Think and Grow Rich, but it doesn't teach you how to make money. It teaches you how to handle tricky situations when you've got doubt, like you mentioned there, Olly. When you've got doubt around certain situations. And for me, obviously, I have to do sales calls on a day-to-day basis. And I went through patches where I wasn't getting any sales. And then you're in a negative mindset, and then you start thinking the next call, you've already failed. And I thought, and I know a lot of people around me taught me as well, yeah, you get highs in business and then you get points of low, which is normal, but you can drag the high out as long as you want, and you can drag the low out as long as you want. And that book taught me really to work on myself, and that's really truly how I move forward. And, I made more progress in that year than I did in the last 3 years, which was crazy, just by working on myself. So my really giving to every single person who I connect with, or even yourself today, if you can take anything from it, is just work on yourself and work how to handle the lows in life, because that's really how you move forward.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. And you're so right. That's why I have these conversations, is I want to learn from people. I really want to take as much value as I can away, as well as obviously sharing the messages for the listeners. It is about the growth of myself as well. And yeah, that's why I'm now connecting with people that are equally driven by the whole package. So it can't just be that I want to share these positive messages and do good.
Yeah.
But I don't ever look at how can I grow financially as well, because if it's only one and not the other, then what happens is I'm not actually creating that space and energy, because then my time's going to be taken up still doing the 9 to 5, because I haven't looked at how I can invest in myself to then grow this audience, grow the platform, and the greater the reach, the bigger the platform could grow potentially. And then if I could get to the point where I only do the podcast and the podcast grows, then guess what? I'm able to do what I want to do on a far bigger scale, but then my family benefit, everyone around me benefits. I'm then able to do more time doing more things to help more people. So it has to go hand in hand.
That's it. It is. And, you know, it's not, the goal's not really to get money. It's not about having the money. It's about what the money gives you, freedom, and obviously family moments and holidays and trips. You know, it's not actually, I want to see some zeros in the bank account. You know, yeah, you've seen it once buzzing, you know, got 100 grand, 200 grand. But, you know, after that, it's not about, if you had 200 grand in the bank and you was caged like an animal in work, you know, it's not, you're not happy. Do you know what I mean? That's why a lot of people say millionaires are happy, because some of the millionaires, they're working every single hour and they're a slave to the work, and they've not actually got the freedom to do what they want. So it's all about freedom in it, really, and, you know, helping people move forward, and that's the best mission. But on about the mindset stuff, I'm going to Texas this month, the 24th. I'm going to see a man called David Bayer. So he's like, I don't know if you're that into the mindset stuff, like the Bob Proctor. Oh yeah, that's good then. So obviously we've got Bob Proctor. He's like, you know, shit. To be honest, it's crap that he died, because I wanted to meet him before he died. But David Bayer's like the up and coming one, so he's not like, you know, worldwide yet, I wouldn't say, but he's got about 300,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's got a book out called The Change Mind. You should get it. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
He's really good. But he takes you through all the different steps, and he's got a lot of good teachings in there. So I'm going to meet him basically on a 3-day mindset in Texas. Yeah, so that's going to be unreal.
Mate, that's my dream, is to get to the point where I've got the financial freedom to travel the globe, learning from people I admire in different ways. I love the work of Peter Crone. I love the work of Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, all the Mind Valley, all that alternative ways of developing yourself as a person, and then being able to give back to the world. And it's, yeah, you're smashing it, mate. That is incredible to hear, to be honest. And it's, again, it can only benefit you as a person. And then, you know, the evidence yourself that the more you work on yourself, the more everything you're doing grows. So what's your plan? What's your dream moving forward, mate?
Just keep developing myself, keep making an impact in the world. I have just started a mentorship as well. So I help new coaches become the best coaches, grow the business and stuff like that. So I've got the coaching, which is me, Nyla and Sam. We're the 3 coaches on the team. We transform people's lives and bodies and all that sort of stuff. But then I've got the mentorship, where I transform coaches from just starting off to earning more and more money each month, which is nice as well. And then obviously I've got the events as well. So they're good. Got quite a lot of things going on, but they're all in the same area of just personal development. So I just want to keep basically growing everything. But yeah, obviously this year is going to be the biggest year yet. And like I say, you know, I've got in my pocket, I don't know if you know about Bob Proctor really, but I've got the gold card in my pocket. You know, I read it all the time, and, you know, you just speak it into existence. I've got the vision board there. You just have to, everyone goes through lows, don't they, in life? You know, sometimes you wake up really good. Other times you might wake up, you know, medium, or other times you might wake up pretty poor. But as long as you keep the same habits and you brainwash yourself into positivity every day, sometimes it may take a bit longer than others. But as long as you keep doing that and keep going through the same practices, you'll start to move forward and believe it, you know, because you need to think how many times you tell yourself something negative every single day, everyone in the world, you know, and then they start to believe it and make a story around it, or they'll start to look at different areas of life and make it come true in their life. So say if you said you weren't good enough, then you might, you know, meet someone at Starbucks and they might be a bit rude and, oh yeah, that's why I'm not good enough. And you start piecing all these things to make the story true in your mind. So let's make the story true in our mind that we're winners. and then we can move forward. So it's the same principle, but a lot of people dismiss the positive stuff and think, oh, nah, it doesn't work, all that, but it does. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It comes back to, if you want to believe the world's flat, you'll look for evidence that only supports that theory. And it's the same.
It's mad that you mentioned that, because I got sent a flat earth thing the other day and I'm like, kind of like mixed emotions. Is it flat all around now?
Yeah. And for me, it's I find it interesting to want to explore different things, but then I come back to, what difference does that make to me? If I do or I don't care about it or invest energy trying to work it out, do I care? Does it benefit me? Does it benefit my kids? If the answer's no to any of those, then I'm moving on quite quickly and focusing back on myself and what I can do on my podcast, to be honest.
That's good, that. I really love that, to be honest. I've never thought of it like that, but it's good. Good way to put it.
Yeah, because, and again, that's why I respect everyone online has got their own lane. And I like what you put earlier, stay in your lane. I'm in my lane. You're in your lane.
Yeah.
I feel like where people are so passionate about questioning this, questioning that, almost conspiracy, it's at the point where you're trying to do good and give back to the world or to your network, but you're spreading potential negative information. Like, that's not positive. And to me, it's, if you're trying to do good, then let's not create negativity. And it's, again, I respect everyone's got their own way of doing it, but I feel like we're on a similar vibe where we want to spread positivity. And I loved a post you put out, and it just comes back to what you said there around surrounding yourself with winners.
Yeah.
So what qualities do you look for in people that you surround yourself with?
Well, I can feel your energy's good, to be honest. I know we're not like, together in the same room, but you can always feel people's energy. And that's the main thing, what you go off, I would say, when you meet someone. You can always have a sense for the energy before even making contact or communicating. Do you know what I mean? But if I was looking for a winner, someone who's willing to do what it takes to get where they want to be, someone who doesn't make excuses, someone who likes giving back, likes supporting you, he's genuine, positive. I wouldn't be around any negative people. My circle's tiny, and I've had people who I thought was going to be friends for years. I've just seen a bit and left them behind, and it's been hard because you build that connection, you have all the memories and stuff like that, but you just have to move with the times. And at the end of the day, like I mentioned at the start of the podcast today, like, you're the most important person in the world. So if anything's going to stop you from moving forward, like even your kids, obviously you can't get rid of your kids, but a lot of parents, when they bring the children into the world because they love them, they'll start to put the kid first, and their own health will decline in the mindset. So they're at 50% of parents. So they're giving the kid 50%, whether they like it or not. But then when you work on yourself and develop yourself, you're 100, and then you're giving your kid 100, so everyone's happier. But it's hard to try and teach people that. But yeah, I would say always put yourself first. And, like I say, the good traits about someone who's a winner, who is positive, who I want to be around, is just like looking in the mirror. Do you know what I mean? They don't need to be like a competition or further ahead or further back. It doesn't matter about all that. But if you can see something you like in someone, welcome to the club. Do you know what I mean? I want to communicate with them and be friends with you and go from there. If that makes sense.
I love that, mate. No, I appreciate it as well, because I feel exactly the same.
Yeah.
And for me, it's got, you can't put a finger on it. It's got nothing to do with what occupation someone's in or what skill set they're bringing to the table or where they live in the country, what they look like, religion, like none of that matters to me. Is this person on their mission? And it's clear to me, people that are on a mission where it's fully aligned with like who they are as a person. And a lot of that comes down to me, it's what's their lived experience.
Yeah.
Like what's led them to that point where they're now like, light bulb moment here. This is where I was going wrong. This is where I'm now doing so much better. And these are my lessons I've learned that I'm now going to give back to the people that are at the start of where I was. That's just one formula, but I feel like that's such a good formula that works. And it's, to be honest, that's like the whole driving force behind what I'm doing here. And there's something you talked about there around like not being 100% as a person, and then that impacting on your kids, which is how I lived my life for around 10 years. In the job I was in, I was smashing it with the overtime, probably earned twice as much as I do now. honestly.
Yeah.
And I've got a beautiful house to reflect that. But where I am at the moment in life is that I'm earning far less money than I ever have, because I'm putting a lot of my energy into being present as a father, but also following my dream with this podcast. I've invested in a little side hustle, mobile sauna business that I put down by the beach, but that's early days. But in order for us to maintain that lifestyle, we just put a house on the market. Do you know what I mean? We're that happy as a family that we're like, we don't need this big house. We'd be better off with a house like half the size, bring all of the expenses, all of those outgoings right down to the lowest possible, so that we can maintain where we are now. Because me being present as a father and not putting 100 hours overtime every month into a job that I hate means that we're so much tighter as a family. And that's my biggest lesson that I wish I could give to everyone that I see making those same, not mistakes, because everyone's got to do what they got to do, but just thinking it's all about providing and working. To me, that was such a long lesson to learn. But I've never been happier. It's crazy. It has nothing to do with money.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's one of them. It's because your main driving force, I know obviously you focus on you and developing you, but your main driving force when you bring a child into the world is them. Do you know what I mean? You do everything for them. So if you're doing the actions in place what align with that and it's to your blueprint, you're always going to feel happier. That's why people feel down when they can earn loads of money, but that's why they still feel down, because it's not the money what makes them happy. It's being in line with your blueprint. And if you're falling out of whack with that, that's why, say, like if, you mentioned before, you don't get a reply from someone you want to do a podcast with, that's why it really triggers you more than probably most things, because you think, oh, if I don't get this personal podcast, it's not going to grow. I'm not going to impact more people. It's not aligned with my blueprint. So that's why you're probably a little bit more reactive with it. Same as me in certain things with business and stuff. So it's one of them things in it. But, just make sure every single step what you do is always going to benefit something, and
I tell you that,
didn't you?
Yeah. No, I'll tell you the thing that goes with that is that, and you're so right, is that I feel like, why can people not see what I'm trying to do? And if they've got this big platform and they are who they say they are, then why are you not helping me out, mate? Because I've got so much like genuine energy that I'm trying to give back, and you could help me massively to help me achieve what I'm doing, which on paper looks like something that you believe in, you talk about. And I take that personally, when really they probably get they probably get so many messages from people they don't know. They've got no way of judging whether that person's genuine or not. And it's something that it's a mindset shift that I'm working on, and it comes down to me is, well, what am I trying to do? And it's impact, and I'm having the impact now. So that's why I'm settling down, and good stuff's happening because of that. But it's a big lesson I've taken away from this conversation, actually, mate.
Yeah, it's one of them as well. Like, there's a lot of fraudsters out there, so people might put whatever they want on the Instagram page, but they're not really aligning with that anyway. Like you say, the driving force is probably the money, greed, and all that sort of stuff. And the actions are the real talker. You can write whatever you want on your Instagram page or your Facebook. Your actions, what you do on a day-to-day basis, is really what you are. If you're going out of that, then you're just a liar, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? So it's like I get loads of messages, but at the end of the day, it took 2 seconds to get me on here because, I know my purpose. I know what I want to do. And, if I can help you and you can help me, because this is helping you a little bit, but it's helping me as well. Your people on your page is going to see me. So that's both benefits in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And a beautiful thing with that. And it's so beautiful that you've got that online coaching platform and not a gym that's static in Manchester. It means that there may well be someone in my network that listens to this today that reaches out to you and says, he's the guy that I want to help me as a coach. And to be honest, that's the angle of everything I'm going to do now after this, because that's the ability I have, is I'm getting pretty good at creating the right Instagram reel to create from the podcast so that I can help that person. There's a lady that runs wellness events.
Yeah.
And she contacted me 3 weeks ago, and I had a load of podcasts ready to go, but she said, I'm struggling to sell tickets for my event. Can I come on your podcast? I said, of course. And I got her on that day, spent about an hour trying to get a little Instagram reel together to promote her event. I bumped her podcast episode forward. And to me, it's like, that's given me proof as well that I am who I say I am.
Yeah.
Because I want to do that so much. I'm not getting anything from that in return. but I love that. And I'll do the same for you, mate. I feel like it's so, because I have got my platform is growing, but where it's growing is it might not be growing in size, but I feel like it's growing in trust. So the audience that I have, they're starting to like listen to me, especially those younger generations. I had a couple of young lads come down to the sauna last week.
Yeah.
And they said, mate, we listened to your podcast and it's brilliant. It's spot on, mate. The message is out there. We were talking about it, me and all my mates. And these are like younger lads in the local area. And that like really touched me. I said to them, mate, to be honest, that's like the best feedback I've had for a long time, because that's my pure intention, is just to help you as a younger male. It's a beautiful thing. So yeah, mate, I appreciate it. And I feel like I'd love to think that people in my network will, because there's a lot of online coaches.
Yeah.
But what you're offering is that package of not only looking good, getting in shape, but it's everything else that comes along with it, mate. So I've got a good feeling about this one, mate.
Yeah, that's it. I've got a good feeling as well, and really appreciate your time as well today, because I've enjoyed the conversation. It's been easy to talk, and good energy, matched energy, and we could probably be here for a couple of hours, couldn't we? Really?
Yeah, mate, we'll just do it again. Mate. 100%.
Yeah,
it'd be, to be honest, there's so many people up your way that I would love to sit down with and actually have a live podcast, because you can bounce with each other online, but the connection you can build through getting together in person, having a coffee, having a little walk out in nature, anything like that, little ice bath or something like that, game of paddle. Yeah, mate. And then do a podcast, or do a few group podcasts. Like, these are the ideas I have. And I've got a big, for some reason, I've had about 7 or 8 people from Manchester on the podcast, and there's 2 young lads. I say young lads, they're a bit younger than me, but they've got a podcast in Manchester called You Know What I Mean. Great guys. Yeah. So they came on podcast last week. Yeah. So I need to come up and jump on a podcast with them as well. So yeah, who knows what could come in the future, mate, but it's exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I'm up for anything anyway. That sounded good with the ice bath and stuff, because I do that twice a week anyway. We could record the whole thing. I can go through it all.
Yeah. Well, if you could ever bring yourself to drive 5.5 hours down to South Devon, then if you wanted a little trip away or whatever, then combine it, because I've got my sauna, which is a wood-fired sauna. I've got the ice baths by the sea, down at the beach. And that's my idea as well, because that's where really I should be thinking more strategically around using the podcast to feed into the sauna business. Because I've got ideas about how it's a portable horse box, so I can literally chuck it on a tow bar. My plan is to then start doing events and retreats and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, there could be a way of combining the 2 at a later date, mate.
Yeah, 100%. So you could even do it in April. There's no point like messing. I could even do it in April. I'd say this month, but a bit busy this month in terms of I'm going to America and stuff like that. So
yeah, mate, let's stay in touch.
Yeah, April, 100%. I'll do that. That'll be great. That'd
be amazing. Yeah, mate. Thanks for your time today. Yeah,
I know. Thanks for your time as well.
We'll stay in touch. Undoubtedly, that'll be, because when I watch it back, it's hard when you're hosting the podcast, because I don't rely on questions or a script. It means that I have no choice but to fully engage in the conversation and try and pick up on where I'm going to go next and how can I reflect, resonate, guide it. But even so, there's still been loads of stuff you said that has landed and I'm going to take away and reflect on. But even more so, I know when I come to review it and watch it back, yeah, you're switched on lad, mate, and I appreciate it. You can see you've done a load of work on yourself.
Yeah.
Which is why I believe so strongly that you're going to continue to grow in that online coaching platform space. So I wish you all the best with it, mate.
Yeah, nice one. Appreciate it. And we'll definitely get that sorted for next month. And just make sure you get the, if you've not ever read How to Think and Grow Rich, have a buy of that.
I'm going to get it.
Bob Proctor, You Were Born Rich. That's another good one. And then you've got David Byers. What's it called now? A Changed Mind. I've got it over there.
Nice.
But probably go with David Byers.
Yeah. Mate, I'm going to go and order it now. Legend. Thanks, buddy. I'll see you later on. Cheers, mate.